Hey guys, Sion here. I've been making models for a long time now, and I get a lot of questions from time to time, so I've always wanted to make a tutorial. And I know the first thing some people are going to say, especially the people that may have made models before that are watching this, are they're going to say, Sion, you didn't optimize your model. You didn't make facial expressions, you didn't do dynamic bones, you didn't do any of the good stuff. But that's not the purpose of this video. This video is for people that may have never even opened Blender before, and maybe they want to learn. So this is just a baseline in order for them to learn how to get a PMX file for an avatar, put it into Blender, and go from there all the way to Unity and into the game. Now I do plan on making videos for all the topics I mentioned before, such as optimization and some more advanced things, but I thought this would be a good baseline for anyone that wanted to get into it. So hopefully you learned something from the video and you enjoy. So the first thing you want to do is install Blender. You can either Google Blender and find it on your own, but in my Discord, which I will link down below, I have the links to all the important programs right here. So we're just going to go ahead and click this link, and it's going to take us to Blender's website. We're going to be doing this tutorial on Blender 2.79 because the 2.8 is still in the beta, and it's still got some issues with it, so I'm just going to be using Blender 2.79. So we're going to be opening it up down here and start the install. Just your standard, hit next, and then right here you can choose whether to save it in a specific location, but I just went with the default C drive location, hit next again, and install. Alright, there you have it. Blender is installed. Before we open Blender, we're going to install the Cat's Blender plugin. This plugin single-handedly changed the game when it came to ease of access for uploading your own models to VRChat. It comes with dozens of helpful tools for getting your avatar ready for VRChat, and just doing general Blender edits. I highly recommend checking out their Patreon in the description for more information and to throw them some support. This tutorial will rely heavily on the program, so to find it, check the link down below. Once you have the zip downloaded from their website, you can go ahead and open up Blender. Once you're in, we're going to install the plugin. Go to File, and then User Preferences, which I'm having a little trouble finding, and there it is. Next, we're going to hit Install Add-on from File at the bottom, and you're going to navigate to wherever you installed the zip file for the Cat's Blender plugin. So I have it right here, and you're just going to double click on the zip. Simple as that. Now all you have to do is check the box in the list of add-ons for the 3D View Cat's Blender plugin, and you can hit Save User Settings. Once that's done, you can close User Preferences, and it should appear on the left side in the toolbar. So now that we've got the plugin installed, we can import our model. We're going to be using a PMX that I've had on my computer for a while. You're free to use anything you'd like, but if you'd like to use this exact one to follow along, you can find it in my Discord. You're just going to select the PMX and hit Import Model. Once the model loads in, it's going to look like this. And before you do anything, you're just going to look at the top left of the Cats tool, and you're going to see a button called Fix Model, and just hit the wrench right next to it to open up the settings. And just make sure that your settings look like this. This is pretty much all that you need for it to work properly. Then once you've hit OK, hit the Fix Model button. So what it's doing is removing all unnecessary bones from the model, and it's renaming the bones that it's going to keep to work properly with how VRChat functions. And as soon as it's done, you'll know because all of the color will come back and it'll look the way normal models look. And right now you could upload this to VRChat and it'll work and move perfectly fine. But we're going to add a little extra things like visemes so that it can talk, and eye tracking so that it can look around. I'm going to hit H to hide the bones because we don't really need them for this part. And then we're going to look over into the Cats tool. And in order to add the visemes, you can see there's this handy visemes tab. And what it does is it looks for shape keys on your model and it uses this Create Visemes button to make them all from those shape keys. However, we forgot to do something, which is translate, and you can see all the shape keys are still in Japanese, so we're going to hit this Translate All button. It takes about 1 second, and now you can look over again. The shape keys are all translated into English, and now they populated in the Visemes tab, and and you can hit create visemes. Takes a couple seconds. And there we go, visemes have been created. Now if you look over in your shape keys tab, you'll see all these shape keys with VRC in front of them, and these are how your model talks in VRChat. To test one, you can just grab one and then move this value slider at the bottom, and you can see your model open and close their mouth. So everything seems to be working just fine. And next we're going to save, because it's very important to save your work periodically. And what I like to do is to first make a folder just for this particular project, and I'll call it tutorial. And then we will save the blend file in the folder as tutorial and hit save. Okay, and now that we've got it saved, we're going to make the eye tracking next. So what we're going to do is over on the left side, in the same place where we created the visemes, there's another tab for making eye tracking. And since we already translated all the shape keys, we should only have to hit one button, create eye tracking, and after a few seconds, you'll see that 2 new bones have been created behind the eyes. In order to check to make sure everything's working, just hit start eye testing. You can move these sliders back and forth, and you should see the eyes move up, down, left, and right. And these look like they're working just fine. So as soon as you're satisfied that they're working, you can hit stop eye tracking. And again, we're gonna save, because I just like to save after every little step to make sure that we don't lose any work. Next thing we have to do is install Unity. So just go to your web browser and search for this exact version of Unity, Unity 2017.4.15 F1. There's going to be a lot of different versions on the releases page, so just make sure you're clicking on the right one. Hit the download link and then run the installer. Just hit next and install it like you would any other program. And if you notice, I'm actually using a different recording here because I'm using a friend who already recorded the installation of Unity, so that way I wouldn't have to redo the installation myself. You can use a pretty big program, so it's going to take a while. Just be patient, but using the Hollywood magic I've got going on here, we're going to shorten it down quite a bit. Once it's finished, you're going to hit finish and launch Unity. So first things first, we're going to make a new project. So I'm going to hit new up here, and I'm going to name this tutorial. Hit create project. And then it's going to take a little while to import all the assets the first time, so just be patient. Alright, now that we've got Unity open and our project created, we need to download the VRChat SDK. So in order to find this, just go to VRChat's website. You'll have to log in order to get to it, and then go to the download section and hit download VRChat SDK. Then you're just going to navigate to wherever you saved the SDK. In my case, it's in my downloads folder, and it's a Unity package, so all you do is double click it while Unity is open, and it'll pop up import Unity package. Hit import, and then just wait a little while, and it imports. Before we import our model, we're going to do some file management first. So we're going to create a new folder in our project view, and we're going to call it avatars, so that way we can put any future avatars in this folder as well. And then in that folder, I'm going to make another folder for this specific avatar and call it tutorial. And then again, in this folder, we're going to make another folder. I know this seems a bit excessive, but folder management is really important, and we're going to call it textures. Now navigate to wherever your model's source files are. In my case, I have it right here. And open up that folder, and you'll see a texture folder in there. And this will have all the textures that you need. And then I'm just going to put this into picture view. And then you're just going to grab all of these textures and drag them into the texture folder that you made in your Unity project. Once that's done, we can go back to Blender and actually export our model. So you go to File, Export as an FBX. and you're going to export it into your Unity project folder. I'm sorry for going a little bit fast here. I just navigated straight to my own Unity project folder, but for you it's going to be under your C drive in the Unity folder, and then you're going to find your project folder and then go to assets, avatars, and then whatever you named your avatar folder. And once you find it, you're just going to hit export FBX and wait a couple seconds. And now we're going to go back into Unity. After a quick load time, you can see that your avatar is going to pop into the project window at the bottom of the screen. And now we need to get it into our scene. So you just go to the avatar and you're going to drag it into the hierarchy window on the left. That's going to put your avatar dead center in the screen, and as we can see, it doesn't look quite right. The shading is a little off. So in order to change that, we have to extract materials. So you're going to hit the inspector tab and then select your model in the project window. And then you can see there's a materials button. You're going to hit that and then hit extract materials. Now it's going to open your folder that your avatar is in, and I like to make another folder for materials to keep them separate from the textures and just to be nice and organized. So I'm going to make that folder, and I messed up a little bit. Hit extract materials again. So there, now's the folder that I created is there, and I'm going to select it. So now it's going to extract all the materials attached to the avatar and put it in the materials folder. So as we can see right here. So now we need to change the shader, but we don't have another shader. So we're going to install a popular shader used by VRChat users called the cube shader. You can find a link in the description, and also on my Discord, I'll put it in there. And it's a Unity package just like the VRChat SDK. So all you have to do is double click it, and it'll open up the import window in Unity, and you're just going to hit import. Simple as that. You now have a new shader. So what you're going to do is you're going to select all your materials in the material tab, and on the top right in the inspector you can see a shader drop down, and you're just going to hit that, go to cubed paradox, and hit flat lit tune is the one that most people use. Once you have the shader changed, you're going to look back in the inspector, and under rendering mode you're going to change to cutout, and I'll explain why in a second. And then the second thing you're going to do is outline mode. You're going to add an outline, a tinted outline, and change the color to white, and then the width to 0. This isn't going to put any visible outline in your character, but it's going to stop certain parts of your model from being see-through. So now the reason we do cutout is try to navigate into your avatar's head and find the facial expressions that are usually hidden inside. So it takes me a while to find it, but here you can see a blush. Now normally you wouldn't want those white squares to be there, and that's what the cutout is for. You go up to the alpha cutoff slider and you slide it up, and it's going to turn the white part transparent, which is how it should be. So you're just going to go up until you think the blush looks good. I think that's fine, so I'm going to leave it at that. With the shaders done, it's time to add the mechanics to your avatar that allows it to move. So you're going to navigate back into the root folder of your avatar, in my case the tutorial folder, and you're going to select the FBX in there. Now go into the inspector where we did the materials, and you'll see a rig tab. You're going to hit the drop down and change the animation type to humanoid, and you're going to hit apply. This is going to apply a generic humanoid rig to your avatar. Before we can go any further, we need to save our scene. So we're going to go to File, Save Scene As, and I like to save my scenes in the same root folder as everything else that has to do with that avatar. So I'm going to navigate to the tutorial folder and change the scene name to tutorial and hit save. Now that our scene is saved, we can hit the configure button in the rig section of the inspector. After loading for a second, you're going to get this view. All of the green bones are essentially skeletal bones that are required for your avatar to move like a human. If you look over on the right side, you're just checking to make sure that all of the green dots are filled, because those are the required ones. But there's something weird that always happens, and that's that the jaw always grabs a random bone, and you don't want the jaw to have a bone. So you're going to click that and hit delete. Other than that, you're not doing much here except checking to make sure that every green dot has a bone assigned to it. And once you're sure that they do, you're going to hit apply. And Then after you hit apply, you're going to hit done and go back to the regular scene view. Now that we've got the model rigged to move like a human, we need to add a component to it to make it work in VRChat. So you're going to hit add component in the inspector and type in VRC and hit the VRC avatar descriptor. It's going to add this module to the inspector, which allows you to configure how your avatar is going to function. First thing you're going to want to do is set it to either male or female for the default animation set. And then the second thing you'll notice is this gray ball that's floating in front of your avatar. This is where your viewpoint is. Wherever this gray ball is, that's where your eyes are going to see from. And you can see over here, view position, these coordinates align with the viewpoint. And these are usually in meters. So when you're looking at these numbers, think meters. And because they're in meters, it makes them the perfect numbers to try and set the height of your avatar. So go into the upper right corner of the scene and hit the little square. This is going to cause your view to go into isometric view or flat view, which means regardless of perspective, you'll always see things perfectly up and down. So now you can see that the view ball is perfectly aligned with the top of her head, which means this avatar is 1.6 meters tall. But let's say we want to make her a little taller. We can use the view ball as a measurement of sort. So I'm going to change it to 1.8 meters. And now she is shorter than the view ball. So in order to make her the same height, we're going to go to the transform box and go to the Y scale. Obviously it's set to 1 right now, so to make her taller, you're going to make it more than 1. So just keep changing the number until you line it up with the height of the ball. But then once you have the Y set, you're going to want to paste that number into the X and Z scale so that she stays proportionate. There, now that we have that done, she is 1.8 meters tall, but you don't want your eyes to be seeing from the top of your head, so you're going to go back to the view position and you're going to just change the value until the view ball is roughly level with the center of your eyes. And once you think you have a good number, you're going to go back to the scene into the compass of the upper right hand corner and you're going to hit this button so you can see from the right instead. Now you're going to change the Z value of the view ball to be closer to where your eyes actually are going to be. I usually play around with it and I try to get it halfway between the center of the neck and the front of the eyes. That tends to be the best spot for me. If it doesn't work for you, feel free to come back and play around with your own numbers. But I think that right around here, maybe a little bit closer to the center of the head. There we go. That's going to be what I'm going to use. If you want to do your own values, you can experiment that on your own. But now I see that the ball is actually a little bit too high, so we're going to go back to the Y value and lower it just a little bit. Alright, that looks good from the side and from the front, so I'm going to call this a good viewpoint. So now all we need to do is make it so your avatar can talk. So under the avatar descriptor, you're going to hit lip sync and select viseme blend shape. It's going to ask for a mesh, so you're going to go over to the left side to your hierarchy, expand it out and grab the body mesh. Just drag it on over to the face mesh and it's going to populate all of these drop down boxes. Now you'll see that each one of these visemes is going to correspond to one of the shape keys that was made in Blender. So you're going to have to go one at a time, selecting the proper shape key for each viseme. It's going to take you a little bit, so I'm just going to speed it up real quick. Once you finish these up, you're just going to need to now log into your VRChat account in Unity. So if you go up to the top menu, you'll see VRChat SDK and you'll hit settings to log in and then just put in your VRChat login information and then hit sign in. And once it shows your account, you can X out this box and go back up to the VRChat SDK tab and hit show build control panel. This is the panel where you can upload your avatar to VRChat. So it has a lot of things like avatar performance details, but we're just going to hit build and publish for now. So after a brief wait time, it's going to bring up the new avatar screen, and it's going to have a small picture of your avatar, and you can put in a name and a description. So I'm just going to put in casual eye because that's this character's name, and I'm going to check to show that the information is accurate, and make sure that you have it as private, or else anyone will be able to clone your avatar with the clone avatar feature. So now we're going to go back into the scene, and you'll see this camera right here. You can use this to change the profile picture that gets uploaded with your avatar. So I'm just going to use these arrows to move it a bit closer, so now it's more like a headshot. And then you can click back into the game tab and hit upload. And you have successfully uploaded your very first VRChat avatar. Hey guys, thanks for making it to the end of the video. As you can see, the avatar we worked on is working perfectly fine. It's talking, it's moving, and I plan on using this one in any future videos as well, so that way you can see the transformation that it goes through doing the more advanced stuff. But anyways, hopefully you learned something, and if you did, I would very much appreciate it if you could share the video and maybe give it a like, and hopefully I'll see you guys soon with another video. Take care.